planning, how you are going to plan your construction activities. Can anyone of you tell me why should we plan our construction activity? What is the need for us to plan our construction activity? Why can't we just go and start the work just like that? Is it possible to start it just like that? Anyone can answer. Whatever you know, you can
One
share.
reason can
Yes.
one reason can be money. It will reduce the amount of money we require for our construction.
Okay.
We'll get a proper design of our house, what we want, or that building, and
Okay.
labor work will be reduced.
Okay. Yes.
To
Your
complete
budget.
within
Yeah.
to complete the project within the deadline.
Yeah. To complete the project within the deadline. So you can complete your task within the deadline, with the minimum resource you have, with the budget you have in the hand, as well as you will get a final idea of how your house will be or your project, irrespective of what type of project it is going to be or any type of building it is going to be. You'll get an idea. So just like that, we cannot start a construction activity. This is not a game to just like get started because it involves huge quantity of materials, labors, machineries, as well as our manpower. So when these four are coming into practice, we should always check the possibility and feasibility of how to start it, when to start it, and where to start it. For that, we basically require the construction planning activities. So let me share my screen just for a second. Okay. Is the screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So planning of construction activities. In this unit, we are going to see what are the purpose for planning and why we have to plan and what are the different types of plan that is into practice. And finally, what will happen if you plan all this in a proper manner? And after that, we'll be seeing what are the methods to plan. Initially, from olden days, what are the methods has been followed, and right now in trend, what is still today practice. That also we'll be seeing. So, like how we have to plan our construction activities. So, what is a construction planning? Construction planning is the first stage of construction management, the discipline of taking a construction project from conception to its completion. From the start till the end, you need to plan. Once you plan your activities, the number or the labors you require for each and every activities, the amount you require for each and every activities, once you classify or once you categorize them, only you will be able to know like what you need immediately and what you need later. You're starting your activity by the month of February or by month of March. So by this month, probably you should have some minimum of 5 lakhs in your hand and all your earthwork equipments. You need some manpower. You have to check for the locality, whether you have to go through whether you have got proper approvals, whether the land is approved. So you have to check all those preliminary sources you have to check. So that's from the starting till the completion. Your project planning is going to your construction planning is going to play a major role. It includes components such as you have different components such as scheduling. You plan your activities. Also, you schedule for March month, probably for the first week, what activity you are going to do. So, you're going to schedule all your activities as well as your manpower as well as your estimation and organizing. After scheduling, you are going to organize it in a sequence. Staffing, it's nothing but you already know recruiting, directing. Once you recruit the officials over there, you need to direct them like what they have to do in this particular work site. And after assigning, you have to monitor them whether how their progress is going on in a right manner or should they improve or are they lagging. All those things should be assessed by monitoring them. So stages of planning. The stages are like you have different varieties of planning. We start with the strategic planning, operational planning, site planning, financial planning, resource planning, quality planning, risk and communication planning. So these are the major steps you should consider while you start the planning. So the first thing is strategic planning. In the strategic planning, what you do is you fix a project objective. That is, you want to construct some 40 houses. Imagine, this is an example, you want to construct some 40 houses. Your organization is already owning a land there. So you have to check whether it is possible to start that. project in that particular location. So you have to check for the clearance of the site and what is the dimensions that you have to measure, as well as is there any possibility of raising that for if it's going to be a 40 house, you have to plan it according to whether you're going to plan you construct it as individual houses or a row houses, or it is going to be an apartment style, so that you have to decide it, checking for the possibilities. So it answers the big questions concerning a project's mission, how it will achieve this mission, and how these objectives align with the project sponsor or owner's larger strategy. So you will be checking whether this will work out or this is not going to work out. In short, strategic planning is the big picture analysis that the project sponsor carries out. Next is our operational planning. So once you have done with the strategic objectives, you have checked your objectives, you are thinking that is okay, you can start your work in that situation. Like what all you will be doing, what are the operations you'll be doing, that is going to be your operational planning. This delivers the details of how the project will meet its objectives. So fixing of your objective is going to be your strategic planning, and you are going to perform some task to meet up these objectives. That is called your operational planning, if it can meet them with all. Okay, construction teams evaluate whether they have the resources they need to meet the strategic objectives. First of all, when we are working in a construction team, you have to know what resource you have in hand. That resource may be your manpower, your materials, your machineries, or your money. You should know the current status of your own firm, and then only you have to check whether having this source in hand, will you be able to start it. So they need to meet the strategic objectives, identify any shortfalls, and seek the sponsor's approval to cover those shortfalls. So probably you will be having, when you are already working in an organization, your organization will be owning some equipments that will be ready. Your manpower will be there. Once they will be completing the previous project, they will be ready to start the next project. So your labors are available and you have money as well. So materials alone, like having the fund, you will be able to start the purchasing of materials. In that case, you will be contacting your senior officials or your directors or your MDs. You will be contacting them. You will be getting their approval to start your project. So they will be just giving an outline that we have to take up this project in this particular location. They will be giving you, and the people in that particular team will be working on it, and they will be getting the approval from them. So after maybe your materials will be the shortfall at that case, because when you start a new work, you need some steel, you need some concrete. So to prepare concrete, you need your fine aggregate, post aggregate, and your cement materials. So all those things are the basic materials you require, steel as well. So these are the things you require to start your construction work. So once you get a prior approval from them, you can start your working. The next is going to be scheduling. This lays out the operational plan on a projected time scale, including the anticipated completion date. As Tamil Selvi told, it's nothing but you need, like, you can meet up your objectives within the stipulated time. So it is always good to stick on to your time and complete your task. If it is going late, what will happen? You have to hand over your houses by this June, but you're not able to. You're handing over it by the end of December. So the entire amount, it goes as the interest. So it is going to be completely like you're going to meet up with the loss. You're not going to meet up with the profit. So when you give some tentative dates, you have to stick on to them, and you have to complete your project and hand over the keys to them. That's the main thing. You have to schedule and work accordingly so that you complete all your tasks within that particular time. Small type of planning does not involve highly detailed scheduling for every project task. That is a separate activity that usually follows up the planning phase. On large projects, specialist schedulers draw up the detailed schedules. So for any small type of planning, you will be go for any type of planning, irrespective whether it's going to be a small project or a long project, you have to start up with your planning. When it is going to be a huge project, you have your construction project management team. They'll be looking after your proper scheduling. And if there is going to be any flaws, they'll check it and they'll be rectifying it. The next is going to be your site planning. This process analyzes the building site to see how natural conditions might affect that project. You have to check whether that particular location is suitable for that type of construction you wish to do there. Probably there should not be any lake near, So that things you have to check it. If you have any mountain here also, you have some restrictions of the height level, and that also you have to check it based upon that particular locality and based upon your particular site. The government has some details. The constraints. It has some constraints which you should not overdo. That regulations you should check up, and only then you should start your works. For example, space constraints, soil stability should be checked, climate, light, accessibility, geography. While accessibility is nothing but you have probably you have your this. Imagine this is going to be your entire area, and here is your plot. You have to check whether is it easily accessible in all means. If some any in case of any danger, you have to go out, and also you have to check for the nearest possibility, such as either bus stop or bus stand, or the any nearby shopping complexes there. So that all you have to check. Those are the basic needs what people require. So all those things you have to check. So if your site should be easily accessible to the public, only then they'll be preferring. Like what will happen if you are having your site somewhere around 200 kilometers away from the city? Will they prefer to come that long distance? So if it is going to be near where they require all the basic needs can be satisfied from that particular locality, only then they'll be starting to prefer your project. And proximity to rivers or lakes can all affect a construction project. So all those things should be checked. Site planning ensures that a project plan will work in the field. Next is going to be your financial planning. A project's financial plan relates closely to its resource plan. A financial plan details the cost to incur. That's true. So for you are right now you are going to start a project where you have some 50 lakhs in your hand. You're going to construct. Imagine you're going to construct some 3 BHK. In that time, you have to check whether the amount you have in the hand will meet up that particular requirement with the today's current market rate of the materials, also the manpower. So the materials and the manpower, it keeps on increasing. Probably some 2 years back the manpower wages were around 450, but today it has increased. You need to hire a mason for 750 rupees today. So without 750 rupees, you cannot hire them. So if it's going to be that case, you have to check whether the that 50 lakhs will be sufficient for you to construct the 3 BHK, or finally it is going to end you up in a 2 BHK. So you have to check all those feasibilities. You have to assess the amount you have in hand, and you have to compare with the estimated budget. You have to check whether what's going to work out and what will not. Or if you are planning for your house, you are going to prepare some additional source of money. Maybe you can apply for the loan, or you can take up some any private loans. That also you have to consider. You should make sure that doesn't affect your future. So, a financial plan details the cost to incur in the resource plan and accounts for administration and overhead. Not only the construction, also you have to consider the materials cost, the labor, the wages, as well as the machinery cost. That also you have to think. The entire administration and the overhead charges also should be taken into account. It also includes contingency reserves for unexpected events that drive up the project cost. The financial plan can map expenditure over the course of the project so that the project manager and the sponsors know when they require money. So next is going to be your resource planning. Resource planning. So you know, or you have all the 4 M's in your hand: your money, your men, your material, as well as your manpower. You have all the 4 M's. But the management team should really know when to use, or in what combination they should all use this 4 M's in an effective manner. So that's the reason we go for resource planning. Having all the resources in hand, like imagine you're going to start a project. For the entire construction, you will be requiring some 300 or 400 bags of cement. Will that be good if you purchase your cement as a whole and have it as a stock till you complete the project by the end of 10 months or 11 months? What will happen to the cement meanwhile? You cannot use that cement for a long time. So you have to know, you should have a proper resource team where they are planning in such a way they get the materials in installment. Probably they'll be, if you are going to start the work immediately, they'll be requiring some 50 kgs of cement. So sorry, 50 bags of cement. They can take 50 bags, they can use it. And if there's going to be any excess in one or two, that doesn't matter. That is not going to affect you on total. When you compare, when you are buying all the 300 or the 400 bags of cement, that time it goes waste there. So you have to plan it accordingly that you use your materials, your labor, and your equipments in the most effective manner. And this is related to the materials. We'll see another example related to the labor is nothing but you need laborers to just transport your materials. So this is I'll be going here. Okay, so this is going to be your work site. You have the bricks. Probably you can have the stack of bricks here. Bricks has been stored here. You need probably some 5 or 10 people to transport this into your work site. This will be very near only, but that for that you cannot use your cranes to transfer. You need your manpower to transport it. That situation probably you will be requiring some 5 or 10 people there. What will happen if the contractor is allowing some 50 people over there? What will be the thing? You require only 10, but there are 40 nexus. So that 40 is the cost you spend for the 40 labor wages is going to be a waste. So you have to plan it accordingly. You bring your materials, labors and equipments in a combined and most effective manner. The resource plan is an important document for determining the cost and the budgets. Labor projections are a challenging aspect of resource planning. That's true. One day where you will be requiring huge amount of labor, that day it will be a scarce. They will not be coming. So that goes as a problem. Making up for a labor shortfall is more difficult than coping up with an equipment or resource shortfall. Rapid fluctuations in the size of the labor force are a function of poor management. That's true. As I told, you require only 10 of them. That day, what happens? 50 comes. But where on the day of concreting, maybe you require some 30 to 40. That day, only 4 or 5 comes. Will you be able to do that concreting work? So definitely, you will not be able to do that day. So you have to either carry over to the next day, or you have to immediately go source for any other labor team there. You have to hire them. Though if they are charging extra, also in that particular situation we are forced to hide them because the concrete is ready, we have to start it laying. So in that situation we have to pay extra and bring our labors there. So this leads to poor management. This should not take place. Next is our quality planning. A quality plan details standards for the project deliverables, and it is a central piece of the puzzle in the contractor accountability. So without this quality, if you have all your projects done, without this center building piece or the piece of the puzzle, if you don't have this quality, will you be not an individual? Will your organization be gaining a big name or a good reputation? Definitely, it cannot. They cannot sustain for a long time unless they are providing quality. Quality is the main consideration that people prefer for. So, imagine you have some 5,000 in your hand. You're going to purchase some watch for you. So, will you think that okay, I'll go buy some watch for 500 and have the remaining as saving? So, will you think like that, or you'll think for this amount I have to buy a quality watch? So what will you think? You always think of the quality. You'll be checking whether it is water resistance, will it be very durable, what will happen if I use it in a very harsh manner. So that also you'll be checking whether it is going to work or it is whether that particular model you have selected will be sustaining for a long time or will it be durable. That will be checking all those things. Once you check the quality of any product only you'll go. So imagine if this is going to be a case for a 5,000 rupees watch. Imagine you are going to buy your you imagine that from the customer's point of view, they are going to buy their lifetime dream. That's going to be their a house. A lifetime dream of the middle class people is to get the house, their own house for the entire earnings which they earn around from 30 to 40 years. They finally want to buy a house for their own. That time, if you don't provide good quality, what will happen? If you are not providing a good quality house, you are handing over the project within 6 months. What happens? It is raining and everywhere in the building it is you are getting dampness and water seeps in. That be good. You can leave the natural calamities. I'm telling it is in the site you have chosen is in a good location where you don't have any problems. That time what will happen if it is having only very mild rain that day? For that itself, water seeping, your project is not good, your quality is not good, the materials you have used is not good, quality of the manpower also is not good. Finally end up in a failed or the unsafe project has been delivered to them. So will they be satisfied? Will they leave you just like that? Definitely not. So you have to take care, you have to always ensure that you provide proper quality to your customers. So the quality plan also describes the process by which you will maintain quality as well as what steps you will take if the quality of the deliverables do not meet the standards. It addresses who on the project team is in charge of the quality. You always have a quality team in your project management team. It is a classification under the project management team where you have the quality check and quality assuring team. So they do frequently check your work. Say they are a part of your project management team. You have the testing officials. They frequently come. They do test your project work sites. Whenever project is going on, they'll be coming. They'll be checking your whether the beams are strong, your qualities is strong, the columns are strong. They'll be having some NDT measures to check whether the construction is going on in a good manner. And how will you measure and communicate the quality? So these are the main thing which they address. Who is responsible and how they will be measuring? Measure is nothing but measuring the amount of quality and the communication, how it is delivered. The next is nothing but the risk planning. Construction projects face a wide range of risks, from fluctuating prices of the raw materials to changes in laws. That's true. Prices of the raw materials. Initially, some 5 years back, the cement was around some 250, 300 rupees, but now it is around 400 to 450 rupees. Cost is increasing. Similarly, your steel is increasing, your brick rate is increasing, your sand material, your fine aggregate, your manufacturing sand is also increasing. So the materials, as the materials are going on scarcity, as it is in demand, so the price of the raw materials are always in its peak. Change in laws, fire, shortage of qualified laborers. So you have, there are only limited qualified laborers. In that case, you want a qualified worker there. What do? They'll be getting some 700 last month. I mean, this month they'll be telling, oh, there's scarce of labor, so you have to, I'm in demand, so you have to pay me 800 only, then I'll come and work. That situation, we are forced to pay 800 because we need some qualified laborers to take care of our work. So we'll be forced to pay extra amount to get the work done. And natural disasters. The risk planning involves the risks that a project might be susceptible to and discusses what can be done to eliminate the particular issue or the risk, mitigate the risk, and to tackle the risks deemed significant by the risk analysis. So you conduct risk analysis for any project and you analyze what are the main parameters, or for this month what are going to be the risk constraints, what are the constraints that is letting you not complete your task, that you will be analyzing it. It also lays out how the team will monitor risks and respond if anything unfortunately happens. That also they'll be taking into consideration. Next is going to be your communication planning. It addresses how to convey information through, it's nothing but you have some work done, how they'll be communicating it through email, paper documents, meetings, etc. All those things you can. It defines your audience, indicates the frequency of how much of amount has been done, and it defines who is responsible for handling that particular information. You have your project management team where they'll be taking care of it. An adequate information flow is critical for building and maintaining trust, ensuring transparency, and keeping everyone aligned. You are working in huge numbers are working there. In that time, they should bring all of them in aligned manner. So proper information should be carrying the process of information should be carried over in a proper way. Only then they'll be able to complete the task. The information you communicate will vary with the audience, with field crew. You should share operational updates. So today, I have raised half of my wall today. Probably tomorrow I should complete it. When myself as a site engineer, I'm instructing them. If the mason he doesn't listen, he'll tell that okay, today I've completed this. Okay, the supervisor didn't let me know what should I do tomorrow. So tomorrow let me relax myself and do it slowly. I'll take some 2 days to complete this one. So what happens if he drags your project? That is going to affect your entire thing. So proper communication should be shared to everyone in the work site. With a high project sponsors, you are more likely to discuss high level of information regarding the project's progress. That's the reason when you go for when you people are into internship in any construction sites, that time you could analyze why people are updating every day's progress in their enterprise resource planning. Nowadays organizations started having their own websites, their own resource planning, where each and every one, your site engineer or your supervisor there, he'll be updating every day's progress. He'll take a picture of the task that has been completed today, he'll be uploading that, and the manager sitting in the office, he'll be checking whether that task has been done today. So earlier is what they'll do, you need your project team, they'll be coming from the off-site, they'll be coming to the on-site, they'll sit, they'll check whether this has been done. So this probably every day when they come and go, your fuel goes waste. But today everything has been into your systems today. Sitting in a particular thing, you can inquire your site engineer why this task is pending and why they haven't completed it, and they'll be giving the reason and what are the reasons. Maybe due to material shortage, or maybe manpower shortage, or maybe any climatic change where you are not able to start your work. So all those updates will be given in your enterprise resource planning. From by using an enterprise resource planning, you'll be easily able to analyze what are the progress of your particular construction activities. Next is going to be your construction planning steps. So in this construction planning steps, we are going to have a complete structure where the structure will be letting you know what the activities you do, what the different types of officials are there, when do you require when do you require the cost, the time, the duration, all those things will be mentioned here. So define the scope of the work, you have to define the scope of what you're going to do, and the method statement, the methodology, you have to frame your methodology where you're going to start and where you're going to complete it, and the sequence of the works, you have to list all the sequence of the works that you are about to carry it. Generate the work breakdown structure, that is WBS, to complete a list of activities. I think you will be knowing related to OBS, organizational breakdown structure, which you saw in your first unit, and we'll be saying what is work breakdown structure also. So develop the organizational breakdown structure, that is OBS, and link it with the work breakdown structure to identify the responsibilities. So work breakdown structure is nothing but you know what are the works that are to be carried, that you're going to break down into a structure. Similarly, you already have some OBS, that is your organizational breakdown structure. Organizational chart, literally you can recollect it, you have your organizational chart. So having both, you can compare, so which activity should be taken care by which official, so who is going to take care of the which activities, that they are going to link it. Determine the relationship between the activities, estimate activities time duration, cost expenditure, and resource requirement. So you should know how much time is required and how much amount is required to complete our task, that you are going to estimate in prior, and develop the project network. So having or knowing all those things, you are going to frame your project network. In later slides, we'll be seeing what is project network. So planning. In this planning, we have the hierarchical project structure. It's nothing but from the top to bottom approach. You have the split ups or the categories. You have the little like your family tree. You have your project tree that is going to represent who are the members, what are the works, and how much cost they require. So for that, you have three different classifications. The first is going to be your work breakdown structure. Second is going to be your organizational breakdown structure, or you can also tell this as your organizational charts. The third one is going to be your cost breakdown structures. So work breakdown structure. The work breakdown structure is described as a hierarchical structure which is designed to logically subdivide all the work elements of the project into a graphical representation. So you know all the activities that are about to start, so that it's not literally sitting and writing out all the activities. You are going to project it in a graphical representation. So anything if you project in graphical representation, that goes and sets into your mind very quickly rather than preparing like lines and lines of contents. So that's why people put on graphical representation during any meetings or any reviews. That's the thing, because only graphical representation sticks onto your mind very easily. So they're going to represent this WBS in a graphical representation. The full scope of work for the project is placed at the top of the diagram, and then it is going to be subdivided into smaller things. First, if it is going to be my first is going to be, you can imagine it is going to be earthwork operations. So I am naming it as EO. For the earthwork operations, what should I do first? So first I should clear my site. Yes, I should clear my site. After clearing my site, what should I do? After clearing, so I should bring my equipments there. So equipments or the machinery should be brought. And I need my manpower to work there. So I need manpower. So it's nothing but for every activity you're going to list out what are the for any activity or the any work that you're going to carry out, you are going to categorize all the subdivided or the small events that are going to take place in your activity. You're going to give it as a subdivision or categorization. You're going to categorize it at each lower level of the breakdown. At the lowest level of the WBS, the element of the work is called work package. So you have, it goes like this. You have numerous, and the final lowest level that you are going to take, you are going to call it as work package. So next, WBS means name given to a technique in project management in which the project is broken down into manageable chunks. It's nothing but different small types of, you have the earth operations there, earthwork operations, where you have different type of numerous small activities. So that you have to note it down, manageable chunks. So WBS represents the task-oriented family tree of the activities and organizes, defines and graphically displays the total work to be accomplished in order to achieve that final objective. So as we told, for any project you have your objective. By framing your objective, you are going to categorize what are the works that has to be taken. So that you are going to put it in a graphical representation. WBS is a hierarchical from general to specific tree structure of deliverables and tasks that need to be completed. So WBS are actually triangle in shape. That is, it goes on wider when it comes at the bottom, because you can name it simply as it is going to be earthwork operations, but under that you have different classifications or different tasks that you have to perform, so it widens at your bottom. So it is triangular in shape, progresses and downwards in the sense, so it is always goes in your downward directions. So WBS, it serves as a common framework for other exercises such as planning, scheduling, cost estimating, budgeting, conferring, monitoring, reporting, directing, controlling. What, ma'am? Everything comes like a rhythm. Yes, our work breakdown structure is literally like that. Without planning, you cannot schedule. Without scheduling the activities, you cannot find the estimation. Without knowing the estimate, you cannot fix the budget for your project. It's literally, I can't tell. I'm having 50 lakhs in my hand. I cannot tell that this 50 lakhs will be sufficient to construct a 3 BHK or a 4 BHK. I cannot just like that tell. So, like for that, I need to estimate. So, when I am in a position to estimate, I should actually know what are the activities that should take place and how they are scheduling all those activities and what is actually required for that particular activity. So, if I am in need of budgeting, I should know what is estimating. If I want to know what is estimating, I should know what is scheduling. If I want to know what is scheduling, I should know it, what is actually, like, what are the activities to be planned. So it goes as a chain link. Next is conferring, monitoring, reporting, directing, and controlling the entire project. So you know all those things, how you're going to confer, monitor, and report what the I told you, it's nothing but updating the each and every day's activity, and directly you have your supervisors directing you to do your work, that particular tasks, and controlling the entire projects. So this is going to be the entire work breakdown structure. And the methodology for the work breakdown structure is the projects can be split into different levels from the top to the bottom level of the activities. So it is whole to part relationship. As a whole, you can name that particular operation as a earthwork operation. Under that, you have different parts. That is called whole to part relationship between the activities. Without completing one particular part, you will not be able to completely finish that whole activity. So you need that particular part to be done. So it shows whole to part relationship between the activities. It does not go into detail of an activity at an operational level. They are divided into the sub projects. Breakdown is limited to second sub facilities. Next breakdown that requires the work items required. That is your architectural, your structural activities, and what are the materials required that has to be given there. And tasks are going to be the next level. So in the first level, it is going to be the work breakdown. Next level, it is going to be the work items, and the next level, it is going to be the what are the tasks that should be taken for that particular task. I mean, that is that particular work. What are the tasks should be performed? So that's going to be the next level. So, what is called work packages? So I told work package is going to be the lowest level of your working operation. So that's going to be your lowest level. It should be distinguished from others. We cannot skip any construction activity. We cannot skip any level of activity and go to the other. Until you finish your earthwork operations completely, you cannot go. You cannot skip anything. So you cannot skip your site clearance and start your work. Having your trees and so many bushes there, how would you start your work? You cannot. So you should follow the hierarchy that you complete. You can finishing all the activities and only then you are moving to the next. Single responsible organization assigned start and finish time. So I'm assigning that my work starts on 1st of March and it should be ended by the 30th of September. So I should have my start and my finish time, also my assigned budget for that particular 6 months. Only then I'll be able to complete my task. And this limited duration is nothing but the time which we fix. That's going to be the 6 months for an example. So this is the work breakdown structure. I think I'll be stopping with this, and for the next class we'll be continuing the organizational breakdown structure. So this is our work breakdown structure. Now in a particular house project, I have the civil works, plumbing works as well as the electrical works. Under the civil works, I have listed only one or two. There are numerous activities that are to be taken care. First is your construction of the foundations, walls, roofs. So you have so many structural elements that has to be constructed under civil. And under plumbing, you have piping. You have to lay your pipes, you have to fix your pipes, and then you have to make sure whether water is delivered in that particular pipe. So that falls under your plumbing. Literally, when you come to electrical, you should make sure proper wiring has been passed through the entire structure and it should be fitted. After that, you should make sure the connections are proper, and then you have to get the permission from your electricity board, and you have to, like, they'll be coming and providing you the supply. Then you have to make sure everything is functioning in a proper way. So this falls under electrical. So when you take a single house project, there are different types of works that are to be done, and this is a very simple example for that work breakdown structure. So let me stop with this. Do you have any doubts till what we saw in today's class? Yes. Do you have any doubts? Do you have any doubts till what we saw in today's class?
No, ma'am.
We started with the construction activities, construction planning. What is the need to plan our construction activities? What are the different types of planning? And what are the different characterization that comes under our work breakdown, hierarchical structure? Under the hierarchical structure, we started with the work breakdown structure. And we are done with the work breakdown structure. And tomorrow's class, we'll be seeing our, that's on Monday's class, we'll be seeing our organizational breakdown structure. So till this, do you have any doubts in today's class?
No, ma'am.
So if you have doubts, you can stay, others can leave the meeting. Any doubts what we saw in today's class? Okay. Okay, then if